Hello there, I hope you're doing well. This video does come about half a month late, actually more than half a month late. This is my first planner update of 2024, and instead of doing like half-year updates like what I did last year, I decided, I decided last year to do this every month so that there's less to flip through at at any given time. But that also kind of left me in a bit of a weird space because I was overseas, and that did make filming this difficult because I was literally overseas on, I think I was in Otaru, Hokkaido on the 31st, so obviously I couldn't film this. Half of my planners weren't with me, half of my stuff wasn't with me. So I came back to Singapore on the 7th, and then it was Chinese New Year and I was catching up, and well, basically I'm only getting around to filming this now. So I'm just gonna hop right into it, and I hope you find this interesting. So I have 4 main dated planners this year. I have my Sterling Ink A6, which is similar-ish to the Hobonichi, only that has a weekly section. I have 2 Hobonichi Weeks, one for Japanese practice and one as a day-to-day planner. And then I am on my 2nd year in my Hobonichi 5-year A6. So these are the 4 dated planners that I will be flipping through, and that's kind of like the agenda today. So I'm going to start with the everyday carry stuff before I move into the more, I guess, fun stuff. So I'm going to start with the one that I actually brought overseas with me, which is my Hobonichi Weeks. And just to give you a quick flip through of what I have and have not used. I haven't used this section at all, which I'm not surprised by. I had no idea what to do with it last year. Have no idea what to do with it this year as well, so I'm just leaving it blank. In terms of the monthly section, I like the way I have laid it out all this while, so no big changes there. I have started putting it down various videos, and I do a little bit of how I feel about things here and there, but by and large this is just my appointments, and that continues into next month. Should probably do something about this box here, but right now this is just decorative and I like it anyway. So that brings me to the weekly section, and as you can see here, I do kind of have some stuff going on. It was quite busy before I left, so I have health notes, I have appointments and to-dos, I track my meals, I have a bit of a habit tracker here that before like having the overview of my weekly tasks. I also had a bit of the things I wanted to do next week that I wasn't sure on, so I made a list here, and that was the first week of January. So I realized one thing about this is that on the weekends, I really just don't really use this part as much. As you can see here, things started getting really busy as I left on the 23rd, and it was just really busy because I just had no time to, I basically had no time to touch this. So I didn't even bother like doing the color coding notes. Like there was so much going on. There was a very last minute event. So like literally up to the day before I left, I was working, so I didn't have the time and energy to fill this up at all. And honestly, I think that's fine. It's just a representation of how things go sometimes, and that's that. So yeah, I just had a lot on my plate and just didn't have time to run 2 planners. So I did use my other planner a bit more during this period. So this is also the planner that I chose to bring to Japan with me, and I honestly had no idea what I was doing here. So I did want to track my meals, I did want to track my health stuff, but as you can see, I didn't really do much of it. I put down more or less the places we would be. I also put down some expenses here, as well as the things that stationaries I bought, as well as other things that I bought. But what I realized was that this wasn't very effective during the trip because I wanted to track how much things cost in yen, and because we put it on our credit card with so I charged most of our expenses that we could charge to a card in Japanese yen because the rebates were better, and then when the bill comes in, I'll see how much it is in Singapore dollars, and then I could convert it, which is especially important for things that like I was buying for friends, or rather that things that friends asked me to buy for them. Not that I was buying it as a gift and I wanted to track how much I spent on them, but though that does come to it a little bit. But also basically just things that, like, you know, my friends know I'm going and they're like, oh, if you're going this way, can you help me get this? And then, you know, I do, and you know, they'll be like, oh, I'll pay you back. And in that case, I do need to know how much it costs. And yeah, so, and if the bill involves like my stuff and their stuff, because you do need to hit a certain minimum to get like a tax refund. So sometimes I'll combine everything into one receipt so that I can get the tax refund, and then after that I will do the math. So I needed all those numbers, and this layout was not working. So what I did here, and as you can see, that's why this is very blank. It's very cute, but it's very blank. Kind of a waste, gonna live with it, gonna move on. And this is January and my weeks. So I'm not gonna flip the next page, even though it's obviously already filled because we are midway through February. But essentially this was January in the weekly section, and I honestly think that the original way I laid this out is still working very well for me. I will probably go back to it. I mean, I have gone back to it this month in February, so still settling back in a bit because Chinese New Year really took a toll on me. But yeah, I think no changes so far that I feel like called to make, so to speak. But back to this layout that wasn't working. What I did was that I do have the notes section at the back, and as you know, I have my deep dive, I have various notes, and I have a cleaning tracker at the back here. But what I also did was that I made an expenses table. So how does this work? So I split this into stationery and others, because stationery is really the thing that I spend the most money on. And I know this looks like a lot, but there are certain line items that literally like this bunch of line items here, this was like $6 spent on 9 Pentel Energel refills. That's it. So it looks like a lot, but not every line item is ridiculously expensive. Like this was 80 cents spent on a friction eraser. I'm not even kidding. I can't find this in Singapore, so when I saw it there, I just snapped it up. Yeah, so I have the items, and this like other stuff that I bought. And generally, if there is no price here in Singapore dollars, it means that it basically means that we pay in cash, and I have no idea what the exchange rate was at that point in time, which doesn't really matter because those items were all like meant for personal use or like gifting. So the exchange rate in that sense doesn't bother me as much, because again, they're not super expensive items. So this is how much it is in yen according to our receipt. Some of them have weird decimal points, but I kind of close one eye on that because it's largely my own stuff anyway. And then this is the price in Sing dollars. So Sing dollars here, and I use this kind of like, I haven't really looked at it that closely, but I probably should, to tabulate, you know, how much I actually spent on this trip. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun little thing to keep track of, and I feel like writing it down kind of makes me a bit more conscious of how much I'm spending. I mean, I don't tabulate it, but I do know that if I know that I'm writing down a lot of stuff, it means that I've spent a lot of money already. So it does help with a little bit of, you know, impulse control, even though it's like, but it's Japan, I'm not going back here for I don't know how long. Yeah, my last Japan trip was actually in 2019, so it was 4 years ago, and before that was 2 years before that. So, and honestly, now with the cats, it's really hard to get away, because then we have to arrange like someone to take care of them and stuff like that. So that is also something to consider. But okay, anyway, I get ahead of myself. So that is my weeks, no big changes. The other one that my other everyday carry, which I did not bring. So I'm going to get into my other everyday carry, and this is the one that I did not bring because look at this chunk. It would have been so heavy to lug around, and I just couldn't do it. Honestly, I barely kept up with the... Actually, dare I say, I didn't even keep up with the planners that I brought with me. So it's a good thing I didn't bring this one, because I would have kicked myself for it because of how heavy it was. So quite pleased with myself for making a decision not to bring it actually. So let's jump into this and take a look at this. So yearly section overview here, I still have not filled out. Quarterly, I don't use this, so it's not really a thing. I do need to fill out February here, but I did like having this here as like a reminder to me of like what were my priorities in January, at least before I left. My monthly section, I did use a fair bit for the first 10 days of the year, and then the year kind of like got into like a big mess because it was so busy and everything that I basically didn't touch it again. So I haven't used it this month either, which is quite so I'm debating how I want to use this now, because yeah, I do think that this is a great idea. I just need to I'm going to try again and try and be more conscientious about it, probably in this month or maybe just the upcoming month, because as I'm filming this, it's already the middle of February. So I might try and see, might try and go back into this in like March and, you know, tackle it from there. Then, so yeah, that's the monthly financial tracker thing that I was trying out that isn't working out too well, because again, I didn't bring this with me, and you saw my shopping list, right? Like, it's a bit hard to put all those purchases into this. Like, there isn't that much space here, right? So still thoughts, still thinking about this. I will come back to this at some point. Then that brings me to my weeklies, and the weeklies you may already have seen because I did do a couple of plan with me. So I am enjoying using these, as I did enjoy using this for planning, but as with a lot of things, like this I kind of fell off the bandwagon a bit. Like, as you can see here, like it became really blank simply because I just did not have time for this. Like, I used this to kind of like plot out, like, okay, I had this on this time, this on this time, and then like, you know, what I wanted to do around that time, and then I just moved on from it. And I'm trying to convince myself that that's fine, because as long as it serves a purpose, as long as it gets the thing done, who cares how it looks, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be super cute and aesthetic and whatever, as long as, you know, it works. There will be months that there will be weeks that look like this, there will be weeks that look like this, and you know, are fully filled out, and that's fine. So as you can see, it was really blank, and I didn't bring this with me to Japan, obviously, because as I said, I was very full, and I didn't see any point in filling it out, you know, with to-do lists, because there were no to-do lists. But I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of memory keeping in the pages that I kind of skipped while I was away. So I did a little bit of memory keeping here with the things that I did in Japan. I printed some photos using my, what's that called, my Canon selfie square, and kind of like cut them out and stuck them in here. So it's a little bit more fanciful than what I would normally go for, but I do like it actually. So there is a bit of a memory keeping aspect in this, and then after that, but I'm not going to keep doing this as a permanent thing. This is just, you know, for the holiday, because I don't have to do this during a holiday. Like, okay, I do have to do this during a holiday, but I don't want to write it down that way, basically. It's not that strict, right? So that is the weekly section for January. I will show you February during the February flip through, but it was quite fun because basically I was very busy with work and counting down to Japan, and then we got to Japan, and our first 2 days were spent in Tokyo, and I was very excited because I could go to all the stationery stores that I have been dreaming of. Then we spent 2 nights in Hakodate, where the seafood was amazing. Loved it so much. Then we went to Niseko for skiing, but we got stranded in Oshamambe. So that was a bit weird, but we were thankfully saved by this very nice Japanese professor who essentially managed to get a jumbo taxi and like taxi pooled a bunch of us tourists together to get to like all our different resorts. Like, really nice, man. And then we went to Moiwa to ski, which is like the easiest slopes in Niseko, which was great because I sucked at it. It was my first time seeing snow. It was my first time skiing. Then after that, we went to Otaru, which was kind of a lot more touristy, but I mean, we had the best fried chicken ever, and I got what did I get? I got myself like a glass pen. So like finally I have a fancy nice glass pen. And then after that we went off to Sapporo, which was our longest stop of the entire trip. So Sapporo was, I think, 5 days, and that is in February, so I will talk about that in February. So one thing I really enjoyed about this particular trip was that I got to use all my winter stickers at last. So all like the shoveling, the people in the you know, throwing snowballs and the, you know, icy ground kind of stuff. Like, I finally got to use that because they came as like part of sets that I can't otherwise use. So that was great. So that is the weekly section, and I realized I have dwelt on it a little long, so I'm gonna hop right to the dailies. And the dailies haven't really changed from how I used to do it before. I was very conscientious with the sleep tracker, and as you can tell, I kind of fell off this about the same time I fell off everything else. So around this time where I fell off, around this time where I fell off, it's all about the same time where things just went a bit mad. And the only thing I could keep up with, honestly, was having lists. So I still kept like lists of things to do here, and I didn't, you know, check them off and all. But essentially, when I realized that when things go to shit, pardon my French, essentially when things just get bad, all I do is I come back to the list, and everything else will just, you know, everything else can wait, because this is what needs to be done first and foremost. And that's what works for me. I'm just going to accept that and roll with it. It does mean that there's some wasted space trying to learn how to deal with that, but yeah. So my monthly, my daily section was quite basic. I had the sleep tracker here, and then I just had a spring cleaning list on the side because I was spring cleaning as well as doing 10,000 other things. Very long to-do list on the 4th of January. And then to-do list, and I had things that I need to do for work. I had discontinuation sale things to do, which is finally done, so I'm very excited about that. Many things to do for work again before I left. These are primarily, honestly, work to-do list. Folding up on a parcel that went missing, which was a nightmare. And then I did a little bit of color coding here where green was like household stuff, and because this was largely a weekend and time when I wasn't going to work, and then orange was like my own like personal stuff, which was like online stuff basically. And then 18, 19, 20th, all just trying to get things done before our trip. And at that point, I think like from the 20th all the way to like the time before the 23rd, I didn't touch the plan. I didn't have time for that. So that is that for January basically. After that, we go into February, which I will show you next month. So that's my everyday carry. As you can see, when things get really crazy, sometimes I really just don't even touch my planners, which is fine. Like sometimes there are things that, you know, don't require you touching your planners, and therefore, and you don't have time for that. So that's that. So I'm going to this is a pen that I picked up in Japan, which is very cute. It's the Uniball 1, but instead of the 1F, it's the 1P, because it's, I don't know why it's called a 1P, but it's this really cute, like, chunky little fella. It uses the same refill, but it has, like, rose gold here. I think it was... Wait, I have the numbers here. So this was... See, that's the beauty of having this. This was $6.60 something, which is about $3 cheaper than when I saw it in Singapore, so I count that a win. Okay, so back to these. So my Japanese journal and my 5-year journal. I'm going to just do a quick flip through of the Japanese one before I do the 5-year. So the Japanese one, I was using this to track Duolingo before I realized that it was kind of dumb, because Duolingo doesn't really tell you how many lessons you do per day. Neither does it give you like a fixed number of XP that you have earned that day. So it's kind of hard to track hard stats here, which I was trying to do to motivate myself to do more. But yeah, I'm kind of struggling here what to track, like to make myself more challenged and like motivated Duolingo basically, besides just keeping my streak going. So I will probably revamp this, but I do need to think on that because this didn't even last more than a week, right? Then in terms of the day-to-day stuff, the day-to-day stuff has been quite good, I feel. Switching to colored ink really made my brain happy, so I like that. I realized once I switched to colored ink, it wasn't black ink, like black and white. It just, I don't know, I was just excited to write again. So, and I guess it was the idea that at the end of the month, I get to change the ink color. So, I don't know why it makes me so happy, but it does. So yeah, as long as it does, I'm just gonna keep going. So basically this is for dual stats, and as you can see, I don't fill it out very much. In fact, I have not really filled it out in recent weeks. So sorry. So I might change what this column is for at some point. I'm still thinking about it. This column is basically what do you do today, right? That's basically the question. And like sometimes it's like as simple as like, oh, it's a day off, right? This is just like, oh, I slept at home, because literally I think the only thing of note I did today was sleep a lot. So yeah, and I do have like translations and stuff here, just stuff that I learned on Duo or stuff that I looked up to write. So yeah, I skipped the 14, I think, because there was nothing for me to write on that day, but I'm gonna live with that and move on. Skip the 15 as well, because no idea what to write there. But other than that, I feel like I've kept up with this pretty well. There are times when there's like no vocab written down on the right hand side, but I feel like that's okay. It just means that I'm using old vocabulary. And yeah, I mean, if I'm using old vocabulary, that's okay. It's just that when I use new ones, then I will write down the new ones. So these are things that happen in Japan, and I realized I wrote a lot more while I was in Japan just simply because there was a lot more happening to write about. And I kept up with it, or rather I caught up with it when I came back. So gonna keep keeping up with this, and we'll see how I progress as the year goes by. In terms of the notes page at the back, I haven't used it for anything at all. I have no idea what I use it for. I'm hoping something comes to me sooner or later, but if not, it will just be about 70 odd pages that I don't use. But that's alright. I mean, as long as this keeps me practicing, I am satisfied with it. So, last journal. Okay, I'm gonna take a break and have some honey water first. I may have snacked a little bit too hard during like the Chinese New Year festivities, so my throat is kind of being a bit weird right now. But I really don't want to miss another week of like videos, because I feel like if I stop, then I will give myself an excuse to stop like all the time. So try to keep up with this. So I have I didn't bring this with me as well, because as you can see, this one is even thicker than the sterling ink. So I mean, marginally thicker, but it is thicker. So since it isn't that thin, I didn't want to bring it along as well. So I have caught up with this to date, and let's just flip through it. So I did some filming on this. No, wait, this is the second. So on the first, I spent my day mostly journaling, or as I call it, talking to my brain. On the second, I went back to the office, and yeah, I did some filming that was fun. And then on the third, I was very proud of myself for clearing level 10 on Duo's Match Madness, so that was great. But I was having some like difficulties with the discontinuation sale stuff. Next day, I managed to clear all the levels of Match Madness, so that was great. Give me a moment. I'm going to turn off my robot because it's being really noisy and I'm scared the camera will pick it up. Alright, I'm back. So this was my first yoga lesson of the year. That was great. And then so the high lows in this can be very easy. They can be something as simple as like farming a lot of EXP on Duo, like Duolingo, and that's about it. But it's quite funny to see that like I was like farming XP and all that, but like this time last year, I was basically having COVID. I was like recovering from COVID, so that was quite funny. And yeah, so I was recovering from COVID, couldn't smell, and at the same time, like 1 year later, I had like a runny nose and I was feeling like blah, and my husband is once again keeping me fed and watered. So I finished the microsite. Oh, so this was when I think I spent a lot of money on something. What did I spend too much on? Oh, I hate it when it smudges. I think it says spend too much on fabric. I'm guessing it says it is fabric. So there's this like really grumpy face over here where like the money is flying away, but I'm guessing that is fabric though. I could be wrong. Then oh, this was great. This was so what happened here was that I actually wrote on the wrong date, and I stuck another piece of paper down, and I'm using a bit of colorful washi to help it blend in. So the high point was that I slept for 4 hours with Luna. Like, she snuggled with me for 4 hours, which was great. The low point was that I had therapy that day, and this is basically me screaming my head off. Yeah. Very productive in the office, feeling very zombified. Met up with my friend. Overslept the day. So it's a lot of cleaning and a lot of cleaning. And yeah, this is quite normal for me. That the low point is that you aren't doing enough. Yeah, this emoji just describes me. There was just like super a lot of things to do before the trip. So yeah, so much work, so little time kind of describes that really, really well. So this was all before the trip, and hilarious. And then this was our 5th wedding anniversary. So we went to our favorite Japanese restaurant to celebrate our anniversary, have a lunch, and yeah, it was kind of weird because we went for Japanese food literally like 3 days before we flew to Japan. Managed to finish more away content, which was all the videos that went up while I was away. Yeah, the event was really boring. I felt it was very much just breathing, so it was a little bit boring. But so on the 23rd was when we flew off, and I kind of my low point was basically that I probably shouldn't have scheduled therapy just before the trip, because I felt very off after that and just didn't have time to like recalibrate before we flew off. And the thing with traveling with a partner is that you don't really have that much personal space, especially on as tight an itinerary as we did. So we landed in Haneda Airport on the morning of the 24th, and I remember that like our plane was literally like an hour early because of like the amount of like tailwind that we had. It was amazing. But we landed at like 5 AM, which was like nothing is open, right? So we got the hotel and dumped our stuff there, and then went to get coffee at Starbucks because it's the nearest place that was open to Sekaido. And yeah, so went to Sekaido, went to Itoya, went to a lot of stationery places. I managed to pick up my Decimo, which I printed a picture of here. And where is it? I don't know why I'm showing you a picture when I literally can do this. So this is my new baby, basically. I have been eyeing one for ages and I finally got it. So I actually stopped using Japanese fine nips a long time ago because I found them too scratchy and too stiff and just not soft enough, because I started using like steel broad nips, which are very wet and juicy. But then I tried this, I can't remember where I tried this, but I tried it at a store, and then I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, right? And I tried a Pilot Falcon, I think, or Pilot Elabo, and it was extra fine, but it was a gold nip, so it was great. And after that I was like, all right, let me try like, you know, a Pilot gold nip that's fine, and find something that I like. And I didn't really like the colors that the Elabo came in because they were not really my thing, but I did like the colors that the Pilot Capless Decimo came in. So there's the Pilot Capless, which is the fatter one and has way more variation color, and then there's the Decimo, which is the slimmer one, which I like better because I don't know, I think it looks better. And is amazing. Like, I love it. I have the Trementis Archive Black in here, and I've been loving it. This is basically my new go-to pen when I don't want to use a gel pen. So I've been like alternating between these two, and they kind of look like, you know, they belong together. So anyway, long story short, I bought it in Japan because it was cheaper. Obviously, Japanese goods are always cheaper in Japan if you happen to be there. And yeah, it was a very busy day because we went to so many places. Then on the 25th, likewise, super busy day. We went to so many places once again. I finally went to Paper Tree, I went to Bungo Box. I stumbled across the cutest ever like cat themed bookstore, and all that was great. But the best part, the ultimately best part, was that I got to have this oyakodon again. So it's honestly the best oyakodon I've had in my life. I had it in 2017 and I always wanted it. Like, the oyakodons that I can get locally cannot compare. They all taste like crap beside it. But finding this place is kind of hard. It's not difficult, but it's just that it's a bit of a windy back road kind of thing, so it's a bit confusing even with Google Maps, and despite the fact that we have been there twice before. But we made it. Lunch closed. Basically the lunch hour closes at 2:30 and we made it there at 2. So we literally made it there by the skin of our teeth to like get there in time for lunch service. And like, they were like, oyakodon, and we're like, yes. I didn't even get to tell them that I wanted the big one or whether there were sets or not. I was just like, just give me the oyakodon. I don't care, like, you know, whether it's a set, whether it's bigger or smaller. I just want to eat oyakodon before, like, you know, I go. Because this was basically our last chance to have it, because we were leaving Tokyo the next morning at like 10 and they opened at 11. So yeah, so it's like I said, it was a very jam-packed trip. 26, we left Tokyo to go to Hakodate, and I did manage to make it to the Travelers Factory Tokyo Station store again. It was my second time there, but there were a few things I wanted to pick up, including this notebook to collect stamps, and I got one for my friend as well to get all the station stamps and stuff like that. So I got one as a gift for my friend as well, because I know she started collecting them on her first trip to Japan like last year. So I got her one of those. And what was I saying? Oh, and I also got washi tape. So I wanted to go there for that, for myself as well as for a friend. So I'm glad we made it like just in time. We were there when the store opened, and then after that we just ran upstairs for our Shinkansen to Hakodate. And in Hakodate we took the Hakodate roadway up to the Mount Hakodate observatory, where you can kind of like see the night view, and it was really nice. Very, very cold though. Then the next morning we went to have breakfast, and we had honestly the best, like, it was the best like seafood ever. So I had so they had this thing where you could choose what seafoods you wanted on top of your rice bowl. So like, it's a donburi, so it's like, you know, rice, and then you choose what kind of seafoods you want. I think you can choose up to 4, and depending on which one I don't think there's a price difference actually. It's just like if it's 3, you know, it's a certain price. If it's 4, it's like more expensive. So I got kani, because which is like crab meat. I got kani, hotate, and I don't know what surf clam is, but in Japanese, but it was great. I can't really remember what my husband got here. I think he got tuna, sea urchin, prawns, and I can't tell what's the last one. But honestly, the star of this was really the kani miso, which is basically crab meat miso, and you can actually see like the crab legs in here. So good, and the entire bowl was literally like $7. So good. And oh, we got like melon, like fresh melon, which was great. And after that, because Hakodate is kind of quiet, we just went sightseeing around to look for stamps. Then following that, we left the next day for Niseko, and that was when we got stranded at Omshama Bay. But we did manage to get to our hotel, and the view from our room was really nice. Like, this is like the sunset from our room, which was really nice. So I printed out pictures of that to like kind of paste in here. Yeah, I printed out both the landscape and the portrait because I couldn't decide which one was nicer. I feel like they were both framed pretty well. So, and admittedly, they were both taken like from different phones. But yeah, I couldn't decide which image was nicer, so I kind of like printed both out. The next day, we went skiing, which I've already mentioned. So skiing is really hard. Honestly, I just kind of like printed a picture of like us in ski gear because I couldn't find the video of us skiing. And honestly, me skiing is just a wreck. And after that, we went off to Otaru, and as you can tell, this trip was very chop. So next day we went to Otaru, and we went to this very small sushi restaurant once we got there for lunch, which was kind of recommended by the hotel staff because they were like, oh, if you want like sushi, you know, there's, if you go out and you turn down the street, there's like a whole bunch of sushi places that you can pick from. And we basically just wandered into them, and like a lot of them were just like, oh no, sorry, we're full, oh no, sorry, we're full. And we managed to find one that wasn't full, that was run by this Japanese chef. And basically he runs the entire store by himself, and it was like maybe it can sit at most like 8 to 10 people. So that was fun. We were the first ones there, so but it slowly filled up after a while. So yeah, this was the sushi platter that I had. It was very good. I know I said Hakodate had great seafood, but this was also pretty good. I mean, donburi and nigiri sushi to me are like two different things, so it's like a bit hard to judge. Then oh, we did have like a quick like night walk, like as the sun was going down, but before the stores closed, like along like, what's this called, Sakaimachi Dori, which is the touristy street, I guess. But because a lot of stores were closing, we were kind of rushing through it, so we went back the next day, which is the last day of January, to look around. We also did some sightseeing with going to like the museum, with going to the canal, which was very cool. And honestly, when I went to the canal, my thought process was like, okay, I've seen it, there are a lot of people here taking pictures, it's very cool, I've taken my picture, can we go now? I honestly didn't, I feel like I didn't see the appeal, which was kind of sad. I wish I could, but I mean, it was a nice place to look at, but it was just filled with so much people. It was kind of exhausting. But anyway, after that, we went back to Sakaimachi Dori, and we did like a more chill kind of stroll where I got my shugi ice cream. So this is vanilla soft serve with honey, drizzled with honey, served with real honeycomb on the side, as well as this wafer biscuit, and so good. So apparently I can get this, not the, I don't know whether I can get the whole thing here, but I know that I can get the honeycomb like at Takashimaya in Singapore, and I'm honestly considering it, even though I know it's gonna cost me an arm and a leg, because every time I look at this picture I'm like, oh, I want it again. So anyway, that kind of sums up January. January was like our last night in Otaru, and there was a lot of onsenning as well because it's so freaking cold, but you know, that was great. I didn't mind it. And then after that, we moved on to February and leaving Otaru, and yep, I will get into that when we get to the February flip-through. So yeah, that is basically my journals for January. I feel like this journal has done pretty well for me, all things said. Like, I did have to catch up when I came back, but I do like that, you know, I can catch up as and when I feel like it. I'm using the right hand space as I see fit, kind of like on and off. So this one has taken up a lot of space. Some pages have absolutely nothing. In fact, it's not even that like every single day that I was somewhere oh no, wait, sorry, I did. I was gonna say that it's not like every single day I was somewhere I printed photos, but I guess in January that is true. I think it's not true of February, don't give me a sec. No, it's true of February as well. Oops. Yeah, but I guess like when you're on holiday, there are a lot of pictures to print, whereas like the rest of the year, there are less pictures to print. And I think that's fine because, I mean, I still have another 3 years to go, right? I will start panicking about this in 2027, that's fine. Like for now, I'm happy with how this is working out. I have changed my ink for February already, and I'm excited to show you February when time comes. But that wraps up my January plan update. Still happy with most of what I picked out. Just need to make some changes maybe here, though I do want to give with the everyday ones basically, I do want to make some changes, but I want to give it a proper go of it, like maybe this month, next month first before I decide. Primarily because I feel that with the holiday and then followed by Chinese New Year after that. If you didn't know, basically I came back on the 7th, and let me just explain to you how this happened. I landed in Singapore on the 7th at about 1 AM. And then Chinese New Year Eve, where we have reunion dinner, was on the 9th. And then we had visiting and stuff and friend stuff all the way to the 13th. So essentially I had no cause to touch my planners pretty much until Valentine's Day. So that is basically half a month completely gone. And therefore I feel like, you know, February isn't a very good representation of, or will not really be a very good representation of how, of like, you know, making changes and stuff like that. So any changes I make probably will be, I'll probably only decide in like March or even April, depending on how things go. So anyway, that's for future me to update in the future. So that is my planner update for January 2024. I hope you enjoyed the first of hopefully 12, and I will see you next week for a new video. Bye!